This is the Walter Farm, by far the hardest hit of the 4 properties that were affected by this tornado. There are vehicles all over their property. Here's a 4-wheeler that was tossed like it was nothing. And this is the small stuff. Don't tell the Walter family. It was just an EF1 tornado.
Even a mile and a half away, this thing just sounded like a train.
From his nearby farm, Bob Walter watched the tornado bear down on his mother's home and the farm he grew up on.
And I just saw all this disappear in a matter of about 10 seconds. I could see, buildings just, going, a half mile up in the air.
Bob got there quickly. He saw every corner of the family property was hit. 4 concrete silos gone, 2 more damaged, along with several outbuildings. The tornado picked up large trucks, small trucks, a grain cart, a tractor. Then there was the combine.
We're talking probably a 40,000-pound combine that picked it up and moved it 200 yards.
But Bob's first concern was the house. He knew his mother and 4 of his 5 children were among the 9 people taking shelter in the basement.
I was like, oh, it's not gonna come hit me, and yeah, it did.
It just didn't look real. Didn't look real at all, it looked fake.
Oldest son Tom Walter watched the twister come toward him for several minutes, then shot this incredible video as it bore down on the family farm just before he ran downstairs.
I was standing there and I thought, well, that'll just go around us, but it sucks, to walk out the door and see everything you worked for gone.
Dozens of family and friends showed up to help. The big stuff was easy to find. The fields are hiding a lot more. Again, thankfully, no one injured, not even livestock. Just a few weeks ago, there were 600 head of cattle in this feedlot here at the Walter Farm. They've since been moved, thankfully. In Adams County, Mark Tauschek, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
You can put more stuff on them, Kathy. You don't have to be quite so frugal.
When it comes to food prep, Lisa Vetterlein could put a lunch lady to shame.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for tonight.
The first step in what has become a weekly ritual.
We just go around and say, hey, have you had dinner tonight?
He's going to be going down to the homeless camps.
Oh, you want him to have all the water?
Yeah,
right?
I want him to have the water so he can do that.
Lisa's one of about a dozen bicyclists who meet every Thursday night at the Price Chopper on Ingersoll.
Fairly simple recipe burrito.
Loaded down with offerings.
Homemade oatmeal chocolate chip cookies.
Even bug spray.
Last week they actually had the biggest smiles on their faces when we started handing them out.
Joe Laszlo started what he calls the Urban Bike Food Ministry in March with a simple task.
Just go up to them and ask them that question is, have you had supper tonight? Here we go.
One group heads to the homeless camps, another to the Oak Ridge neighborhood.
You guys had supper tonight?
I have some food to offer if you'd like. We have sandwiches and burritos and cookies.
There's no shortage of willing recipients. Some are more excited about the food than anyone their age should have to be in 2015.
There you go. How about a water?
It's beautiful to see such a simple gesture so graciously received.
It just feels good to be able to provide something that somebody else needs. That's all.
It's only about 7 or 8 miles, but it's the best bike ride that I go on during the week.
Hopping off a bus is no big deal to 5th and 6th graders. But for kindergartners, it's bigger than their backpacks.
Okay, let's go. I was nervous.
Which is why Thomas's siblings sat him down before the first day.
I said that it's fun and stuff, and you get naps. So.
Okay, all right, hug and kiss bye. And I gotta go, okay? Hug, kiss. You'll love Mrs. Lamore.
And see ya.
If only they could have done the same with Mom.
This is hard. I'm actually keeping in all of my emotions right now. I'll probably go outside and cry.
Since 2009 or 10,
You want to say bye to Mom?
these boys and girls have usually been with Mom or Dad
Love you.
I'm so glad he got you as his teacher.
Thank you.
or Grandma.
I think we are all happy that he's at this stage of his life and sad in a way, because it's going to be a very big change for all of us.
But today
How's it going?
is different.
Let's go find our cubbies.
Most of the kids,
Ready.
they were just fine.
Excitement. He said he had a little bit of a butterfly in his tummy this morning, but then he got on the school bus and he did it, and then I drove here to make sure he was okay. He doesn't need me.
Most of the parents
I have butterflies, but I'm excited for him.
realized today their babies aren't babies anymore.
You want to see my gym shoes?
Because 2 minutes after the last kisses and snapshots, They were cutting and coloring like pros. A few tried their best to hold it in until they remembered the one who just kissed them goodbye.
Oh, not yet? Okay. Okay.
Van Meter, the last tear fell before 8:30, which was time for PE.
What's PE spell?
And the time these kids proved they follow directions well.
Can you put your hands by your side? Beautiful. I love that.
10 years from now, moms and dads will be cheering them on from these stands. But today, both Bens, Ella and Isabella, got their pedometers, walked back to their carpet,
U-S-T.
and started soaking it all in.
And you're going to learn all these things in kindergarten.
It's going to be a happy day.
Eric Hansen, KCCI 8 News,
Ella, nice job. Good job, Ben.
Iowa's news leader.
Isabella, looking great.
To a kid in flip-flops, waiting even a minute for the pool to open feels like 100 years.
Because it's very, very hot.
They all want to get in quick without getting busted for running. But in Osceola, lifeguards have never blown their whistle on Fern, the gal who doesn't need a bathing suit.
I told you I'm 100 years old. I don't have to do that.
To be the most popular woman at the pool.
It's wonderful to see all of you again.
Do you remember Nancy?
And I'm so glad you're swimming.
Everyone knows Fern.
Because this weekly swim party
Yeah, because you can see your friends here.
is thrown by the 100-year-old near the shallow end.
It's good to see you, and I'm so glad you're swimming.
A couple decades ago, in her 80s, Fern was talking with kids from Osceola's trailer court.
They revealed what their home life was, and in some cases it was very sad.
Some weren't eating. Plenty more were struggling in school.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if?
Which is when Fern went to work.
I'm here for a reason, and I better fulfill it.
She started co-writing books with third graders and making little friends citywide.
She gave each kid a pencil that says Fern is my friend because she heard some kids say that they didn't have friends.
I'm so proud because she helped my son in school.
And then she hatched the idea that packs the pool all summer long.
If they want to swim, they should swim.
Regardless of how much their parents make.
Very early on, these little kids find out whether they're in the haves or the have-nots.
Every Monday on Fern Underwood Free Swim Night, Osceola's kids are all in the haves.
How you doing? Do you remember me? Well, remember you. Good heavens, how could I forget?
Because they all have a friend
It's so good to see all of you.
who made this possible.
Thanks for the people.
She's super cool and super nice. Oh, well, I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't tear up.
The magic here isn't in the water.
Does it make you feel young to be around the kids?
It's the 100-year-old sitting a few feet from the water, listening.
The lady I was just talking to with two little kids makes $7 an hour.
Why are we doing this?
Doing this so every kid can be a kid.
We don't do enough. So you and I aren't through yet.
No, that's right.
For patients, one night in the ICU is one night too many.
This is the worst time of their lives.
The guy in room 5 only knows he's somewhere in the triple digits.
It's a genetic disease that I possess.
Sean Norman is 28. He was a kid when doctors first said Noonan syndrome.
It can make you tired, it can make you weak. It can make you face death.
It's all heart related. It's very complicated. It's not very well known.
Other than you spend a lot of time dreaming what you do when you get out of the ICU. Sean's mom couldn't single-handedly grant his first wish, electing Donald Trump. But a couple paramedics helped her with another, busting him out right past the whiteboard where his big goal still read, get out of here to see Star Wars.
That's kind of been a goal of his. Every time he starts feeling down or whatever, we point at the board, go, hey, we got to get out. We got a couple more days. We're getting close.
Saturday morning, Just after sunrise,
I'll see you up there, okay?
Sean got a chauffeured ambulance ride to Ankeny's Springwood 9, where they'd reserved one entire theater for the guy who was living, it seemed, to see this movie.
Star Wars was his anchor, his drive. It's gotta get to see Star Wars.
Tell me when. Yeah? Okay.
With his bed adjusted in the aisle and 26 loved ones surrounding him,
I'm thankful.
the curtain rose and the coming attractions started, which hurt.
It does. It does.
Because Sean had made it clear this movie would be his last.
So that's what we're doing. That's his wish, is to go home. He's tired of being poked and prodded, and he just wants to go home.
By the time his face flickered with the return of his favorite character,
I like Han.
the hospice nurse by his side had already officially taken over.
The best way to do it.
They were telling themselves, this is what he wants.
It's tough, but I have to fulfill his wish. I have to.
For 2 hours and 16 minutes, the guy who's already decided to donate his body to science soaked in every frame.
We're making memories, and not everybody gets to do that.
Once the lights came up, the guy on the stretcher was so exhausted, he mustered only a 2-word review.
Not bad.
And a few final hugs.
Okay, should we get you home? Okay. All right, let's get you home.
Where the guy who's only 28 wants his story to end.
It's his call.
Sean got 2 visitors over the weekend, Darth Vader and a stormtrooper from the 501st Legion, who drew one more big smile. Tonight, hospice is helping him rest comfortably at home. Eric Hansen, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
When Donald Trump first arrived at the fair, he told me he wanted to eat something on a stick, but nothing fried. So I told him to come here for one of these.
The crowd chanted as Trump chomped on his pork chop on a stick. He had worked up a sweat and an appetite.
Everybody's got to step back.
Trying to cross the fairgrounds through a chaotic crowd.
Mr. Trump, have you ever been to the Iowa State Fair before?
I have 10 years ago.
10 years
I loved it, but I love the people even more. I love the people.
And a lot of the people here.
Keep it up, Don! Keep it up! You're the man! You're the man!
Seem to love him back.
Because he tells it like it is.
The billionaire businessman won a few dozen young fans by taking them for rides in the $7 million helicopter he landed in near the fairgrounds.
It was awesome. We just went up and we went around the fairgrounds and got a good tour of that, and then came back around and landed.
Yeah, I saw the Ferris wheel.
And what did you think of Mr. Trump?
He's nice.
If you could vote, would you have your vote for doing this?
Definitely, yeah.
Trump also spent 20 minutes answering questions.
Nobody else will do the job that I will do. I will bring back jobs. I will strengthen our military. I'll take care of our vets. I'll get rid of Obamacare, which is, by the way, a catastrophe. Look at what's happening with look what's happening. We're going to take jobs back from China, Japan. We're going to make our country great again. And that, to me, is going to be the challenge.
The presidential hopeful hopes to release more details on his policies in the next 2 weeks.
I have been covering candidates out here at the Iowa State Fair for 20 years, and I have to say the crowd walking with Donald Trump today was one of the biggest I have ever seen. Todd and Laura? While the candidates are speaking on stage, ever wonder what goes on backstage? We seldom get access behind these curtains, but today we did. No wizard behind the curtains, just candidates concentrating.
I just try not to fall off the stage.
Some having too much fun. We found Bobby Jindal joking, Lindsey Graham laughing, each waiting their turn one at a time.
One of the things I love to do is to sort of get a flavor, the feel of the audience, what the mood is. Hear some of the other speakers and see if they're stealing my really, really great lines.
A pensive Ted Cruz paced, paused, and appeared to pray before taking the stage.
This has been such an incredible whirlwind. You know, people ask, is it tiring to run for president? I have to tell you just the opposite. It is invigorating.
Carly Fiorina also got in the zone. Jeb Bush gathered his thoughts to touch on topics of concern to Iowans.
The debt, the deficit, the divide, the inability for anything to get done in Washington, D.C.
They're concerned about the fact that wages haven't grown in 40 years, that not enough people are at work. They're concerned that the government is out of control, and they're also concerned that the world's a dangerous place when we're not leading. Although these White House hopefuls have given these speeches so many times, backstage you can see they don't take their time on stage lightly, realizing this could catapult them to the big stage of the U.S. presidency.
Going up on stage, I just remind myself what an incredible honor it is to be able to aspire to the highest office in the land, and how far removed that is from the life my parents lived not that long ago. So it's a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding, and hopefully it works out.
Cynthia Fodor, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
We should take the best ideas that exist all over the world.
And Senator Bernie Sanders says many of those good ideas come from countries like Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway, and Germany, where social democratic governments have done a lot of good.
You know how much the cost of health care is? That's right, it's zero. You know how much it costs to send your kids to college? Zero. Do you know what their rate of childhood poverty is compared to the United States? It is much lower.
Sanders says those European social democracies also have pay equity for women, government-supported child care programs, and strong infrastructure investment. All things he wants to bring to the U.S., but they do come at a cost.
Yes, the wealthiest people in those countries and their largest corporations pay more in taxes. I think that we can learn something from those countries.
Sanders said of progressive political ideas is really catching on. And as a result, he's now attracting large crowds all across the country.
Are you surprised by this?
The short answer is yes.
Sanders says it shows how desperate the American people really are for meaningful governmental change.
I know the message would resonate. It is resonating, in fact, faster than I thought.
Welcome back to Iowa.
Thank you very much.
He knows he's a liberal long shot in a field filled with rivals, raising multiple millions thanks to the Supreme Court's Citizens United ruling.
You know how we're raising money? By 280,000 people making individual contributions of average $35.
For the record, Bernie Sanders does not have a super PAC.
The former Secretary of State told me she's not surprised the investigation into her private email server has turned into a political fight.
This is not the first time I've been the target of some of these outlandish claims and attacks.
Hillary Clinton insists her emails were not classified at the time.
But it's really simple. I did not send or receive classified information on my email.
Clinton also says she felt bad after the latest Quinnipiac poll that showed more than half of Iowans say she's not trustworthy and doesn't care about their needs.
What can you say to reassure voters that you are trustworthy and someone they can trust to lead the country?
Reading that does not make me feel good, I can tell you that, because I represented New Yorkers for 2 terms in the Senate. I represented our country. And people saw that I would stand up and fight for them, that I cared about them, that I would never quit on them.
The reason she never quits, her mother, who was abandoned and mistreated as a child.
She was always telling me it's not what happens to you in life, it's what you do with what happens to you in life. So get back out there.
Which is why Clinton is back out here, smiling and full of energy 7 years after losing the caucuses. That and wanting to build a better future for her new granddaughter.
I don't just want the best for Charlotte, I want the best for every child.
She wants early childhood education, more affordable college, and help with student loans. Clinton defends the Affordable Care Act and is now on a new mission.
What have you learned here in Iowa that you had not or could not have found out anywhere else?
I heard about substance abuse, particularly the meth and pills problem here in Iowa. I heard about untreated mental health problems. It just sparked a really big concern, and so I spent a lot of time looking like, what are we going to do?
What she's going to do now is build a strong organization in the state and try to earn every vote. Her next stop back?
Are you coming to the Iowa State Fair?
I think we are. We'll be there, Matt. We have to work out the schedule, but you bet I wouldn't miss it.
Cynthia Fodor, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
Joining me in the questioning tonight are CBS News congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes, anchor Kevin Cooney of our CBS Des Moines affiliate, KCCI, and political columnist Kathy Abradovich of the Des Moines Register.
Candidates, we've already heard your answers on what you would do with Syrian refugees. But a crucial part of the immigration debate here at home is control of our own borders. Republicans say the borders, securing borders is a top priority. Democrats say they want a plan for comprehensive immigration reform. So, Governor O'Malley, are you willing to compromise on this particular issue to focus on border security first in favor of keeping the country safer?
Well, Mr. Cooney, we've actually been focusing on border security to the exclusion of talking about comprehensive immigration reform.